Enchanted is a movie that's about this maiden who lives in an animated world, and she falls in love with a prince, Prince Charming, but Prince Edward. And Prince Edward has a jealous stepmother who doesn't want them to marry. So she puts a spell on Giselle and sends her into the world where there's no happy ever afters, throws her down a well, and Giselle comes up in present-day New York in Times Square through a manhole cover. And Giselle somehow wants to find her way back to Andalasia, but in the process ends up finding out how to become a three-dimensional human being. And it's so much fun as you watch all the other characters come through, running after Giselle, trying to find her and trying to resolve the story. It's a beautiful, enchanting, modern, and old fairy tale, all in one.
Nathaniel is looking for Nerissa, and he has to go to the bathroom. He's having something the animated characters don't do. He has to use the bathroom. And he runs into a stall and sits down, and you hear, "Nathaniel!" And he turns around and he looks in the toilet, and it's Nerissa in the toilet. And this scene totally grossed people out. The idea that a Disney character would have to use the toilet was just too much for the audience. And they all, like, when I had a preview and when I showed it to people, they would go, "Oh, that scene is just, I don't know about that scene." So we ended up, I actually asked the studio, I said, "I'd like to reshoot this part of the movie," and we went back and we changed how we actually meet, how they actually get together.
Oh, absolutely, all the time. I think the fish out of water feeling is very common. It's a very common human experience. I know when I first moved to Los Angeles and first started working in Hollywood, I felt very much like Giselle. I felt out of place. It all felt very strange. You know, there was a different reality to contend with. And once I embraced it, and very much I believe in coming at things with a positive energy. So once I was able to embrace my experience with a positive viewpoint, I really learned how to love where I was, very much like Giselle. I came from Colorado, which is sort of the middle of the states, and Hollywood wasn't on my radar at all. It just sort of appeared to me while I was working, and I took advantage of a really wonderful opportunity and moved out there, and I'm very happy that I stayed and I didn't give up during that confusing time.
I would say Sleeping Beauty was because it was the first classic Disney fairy tale where the prince actually got to have a personality, and he got to, you know, hold the sword and the shield and slay the dragon and all of those very macho things that appeal to little boys growing up. But The Wizard of Oz frightened me. The Wizard of Oz, yeah, growing up with that, it was the monkeys flying in and taking them away, and the witch in Wizard of Oz was it's burned into my childhood psyche.
My growing up very much mirrors Cinderella, to be quite honest with you. It wasn't easy being a kid, and so in many ways I think I've lived that story, you know, because here I am now. I came from a very poor family, alcoholic parents, and I had a goal. I wanted this one thing. I wanted to be an animator. Film is a great way to escape reality. You get to go on to a set or work with animators. It's like playing. It's really a wonderful way to live your life. And I worked really hard to get there, you know. And here I am now. So it feels like, you know, it feels very much like a happily ever after. Like I've lived Cinderella's story in some way.
It's not enough to take the one you love for granted. You must remind her or she'll be inclined to say. My voice has not been good because I've been traveling a lot. Say, how do you know I'm sorry?